Welcome to True Stories, a place where ordinary encounters turn into chilling experiences. Tonight's story isn't about ghosts or monsters, but something far more unsettling: the danger hidden behind a friendly smile. What started as a casual night out with friends spiraled into a trip that revealed the truth about someone who wasn't at all who he seemed to be. This is a reminder that sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that really happen. I never thought a casual night out would leave me questioning who I could trust. It all started one humid evening in Riverton when I was out with a few friends at a downtown pub. That's where I first met Ethan Wells. He struck up a conversation with me over a baseball game playing on the TV, and we ended up talking for a while. My friends had scattered across the bar, so Ethan only really spoke to me. By the end of the night, we followed each other on Instagram. His page looked normal enough. Pictures of him traveling, working out, hanging with random groups of people. He seemed like your typical 20-something. I didn't think much of it. Honestly, when guys exchange socials at a bar, the odds of ever talking again are pretty slim. But the next evening, I ran into him again at a waterfront spot where my friend Logan was celebrating his birthday. Out of nowhere, I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was Ethan. He grinned like we were old friends, saying this was one of his favorite hangouts. I introduced him to my group, and though no one knew him, nobody seemed bothered. He stayed the whole night, drinking with us like he'd always been part of the crew. Over the next couple of weeks, Ethan and I hung out a few times. Golf, food, a random night out. It was all casual, and he always seemed laid back, maybe a little too into drinking, but nothing alarming. Then he suggested a trip, just the two of us, to Arizona, to hike the Grand Canyon. It sounded like a dream opportunity. Hiking the canyon had been on my bucket list for years. My friends couldn't come. Work, money, the usual excuses, so I said yes. Ethan didn't mention any of his friends joining either. At the time, I figured he was just the adventurous type. We landed in Phoenix on August 15th. He'd rented a car, stocked up on beer, and got us to an Airbnb. That's when I realized something unsettling. There was only one bed. He casually pointed to the couch and told me it was a pullout. He even added, "Don't worry about paying, I'll cover the place." Free trip, free stay. I didn't argue. But that first night, I woke up to the sound of footsteps. Ethan was walking through the living room to get water. I brushed it off and went back to sleep. The next morning, we hiked Bright Angel Trail. The view was breathtaking, but I noticed how effortless it was for him compared to me, like he wasn't even tired. He joked, snapped photos, acted like the perfect hiking buddy. Still, something about the way he watched me through the lens felt strange. That night we went drinking again, and when I woke up the next morning, my phone wasn't where I'd left it. I'd plugged it in beside the couch, but somehow it was unplugged and placed on the table. I assumed I'd been too drunk and shrugged it off. But it happened again. The second night, Ethan insisted I take the bed. A few hours later, I woke up to find him lying on the floor beside me, face down, claiming he must have blacked out and stumbled into the wrong room. My phone was missing again, and when I confronted him, he miraculously pulled it from under the bed. The way he smiled when he handed it back chilled me to my core. I wanted to brush it off, but deep down I knew something was wrong. Then came the moment that made me leave. I woke up in the middle of the night to find Ethan standing at the foot of my bed. Just his silhouette in the dark, motionless. And then he sat down. He placed his hand on my foot and started rubbing it like it was the most natural thing in the world. I shoved him off the bed and screamed at him to get out. He didn't fight me. He just sat on the couch and watched silently as I packed my things. His blank stare never broke, like he wasn't even fully human anymore. I called an Uber and left before dawn, waiting out the hours at the airport until my flight. I paid extra just to make sure I didn't have to sit next to him on the plane. When I told my friends later, they weren't surprised. They reminded me how he'd always shown up alone, how conveniently he found me at that waterfront bar right after I'd posted a story. He wasn't just some random guy. I realized he had probably been tracking me. I blocked him everywhere, but before I did, I reached out to someone tagged in one of his old posts. That person replied almost immediately, "Don't trust him. He's a creep." We all cut him off. Run. That confirmed everything. Ethan wasn't a friend. He was a predator hiding behind an Instagram smile. Moral of the story: sometimes danger doesn't announce itself with violence or threats. It hides behind friendliness, charm, and forced familiarity. Trust your instincts, set boundaries, and never ignore the small red flags. They might be the only warning you get.